Dr. Gallagher and Dr. Simperman. We're glad you joined us this evening for a talk about gut and weight loss and gut health. And here's a picture of our son at the Grand Canyon leading a trip from Lee's Ferry down to Phantom Ranch, about a 14-day trip that he took a group of people on in September. So hopefully this inspires you to get outside and maybe go to the Grand Canyon. And our talk is Gut Busters. We're going to be speaking tonight for about 30 minutes, and we really hope that you stick with the whole program. At the end of our program, we do have our specials, and we hope that you stay on long enough to get the special codes.
So as always, the information presented in this program is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease, illness, or health condition. The statements presented in this program have not been evaluated by the FDA. And as always, you should consult with a licensed healthcare professional before beginning any type of treatment.
So over the next half an hour, we're going to be discussing gut busters. And if you would like to take notes, I suggest you grab a pen and paper. And we're going to teach you about the relationship between weight loss, weight gain around the middle part of your body, that extra 5, 10, 15 pounds that is stubborn and won't go away, and the relationship between that extra weight around the middle, inflammation, digestive issues, and toxins. So hopefully you gain some good information and grab some paper and pen, take some notes.
So obesity is definitely a health risk, and according to the CDC, it's ranked as the #1 health risk facing America today. 80 million adult Americans over the age of 25 are considered obese or overweight. That's a lot of people.
We also know obesity currently results in an estimated 400,000 deaths annually in the US and costs nearly $122 billion in healthcare costs. Being even moderately overweight can increase the risk of heart disease and other dangerous conditions. So it's really important to try to get that belly fat off.
So what happened? How did this happen? Well, decades ago, that high carb diet that everyone was pushing on the public, what happened as a result of that? Well, diabetes, high blood pressure, heart disease, insulin resistance, and millions of Americans that are overweight. Whoops, I'm guessing that maybe wasn't the right thing to do.
Overweight and obese people have an increased incidence of the diseases that we just discussed: heart disease, high blood pressure, diabetes, and high blood sugar, and coronary artery disease in women, polycystic ovary syndrome, joint and spinal disorders. How many surgeries are done on knees because of being somebody overweight? Hip surgeries because of overweight. It's very much, very, very common. And also cancer. Cancer is a big contributor, and overweight being a big contributor to cancer and other diseases that people have.
So as we begin our discussion, you need to understand some things and some terms. So we're going to talk about your microbiome. Now, what exactly is that? Well, this consists of trillions of good, bad bacteria, yeast, parasites that are present and living in your gastrointestinal tract. That's right, you have good and bad things, microorganisms that reside there. And the NIH Human Microbiome Project discovered that there's 10 times more of these microbes living in your gut than there are cells in your body. So this is a lot of little microorganisms that reside in your gastrointestinal tract. tract. And you have to remember there's good ones and there's bad ones. But when there's an abnormal balance and the bad ones outnumber the good ones, it results in a condition that we know is called dysbiosis. Dysbiosis can lead to a multitude of problems, multitude of health conditions. It alters your immune response. It has a direct effect on anxiety, your susceptibility to diseases, your response to pain, the ability to respond to and handle stress, and ultimately your ability to lose weight. So dysbiosis is a disruption of the gut microbiome. It can lead to a condition which we're going to talk about in a little more detail, known as leaky gut syndrome. This is a result of inflammation, and it results in a weakened immune system and weight gain and the inability to lose that stubborn belly fat. Now, if you're having constant cravings for food, this is often an indicator that your body isn't getting enough nutrients. And this can be due to dysbiosis and the resultant things that happen to your gastrointestinal tract as a result of dysbiosis. And it can also be a result of a poor diet, which led to the dysbiosis. But either way, your body's ability to assimilate and absorb nutrients from the food is seriously compromised.
So what are the causes of dysbiosis which result in this leaky gut? And leaky gut, you can think of it as, something leaking out of a hose or a pipe or something of that sort. So, you have these very, very small, cells in your digestive system, and they, are very tight together. And whenever we have this dysbiosis, which leads to this leaky gut, then those, tight, cells packed together are now spread apart. And so then we have things leaking into our bloodstream, undigested food particles, we have toxins, etc., that leak out into our bloodstream and circle around there and get deposited in different organs and fat cells. So the things that cause this are, of course, poor diet, lots of stress, medicines that we take, processed foods, chemicals, pesticides, toxins, metabolic waste, which are toxins, sometimes pathogens. Sometimes we get a pathogenic infection in our gut, and that also leads to this gut inflammation or leaky gut. And also genetically modified foods that have been altered genetically to contain either other microorganisms or pesticides or chemicals in their gene. And we eat those and they interact with our body, causing inflammation because we don't even know what to do with them. So what are the symptoms? So leaky gut has a variety of symptoms, and most of them are related to, either brain health, bloating, constipation, upper digestive problems, nutritional deficiencies, which is hair loss, bad nails. You can see that in those areas. You can know that somebody might have a leaky gut if their hair is falling out, if their hair is brittle, if their nails are brittle, if their nails have bumps and ridges in them, spots on them, people who have fatigue for what they appear as no reason, headaches, brain fog, hormone dysfunction, thyroid hormone, female hormones, male hormones, anti-inflammatory hormones, autoimmune disease, you can't concentrate, and skin problems. This seems to be a really big issue directly related to leaky gut and inflammation in the gut, joint pain, widespread inflammation, anxiety, depression, and the big one that we're talking about today, weight loss resistance, and then autism and ADHD.
So here's a graphic that shows you and kind of represents what's going on when we have leaky gut system. You can see the mucosal membrane cells, and normally the junctions between the cells are very tight and they do not allow the contents of your gastrointestinal tract to seep through and get into your bloodstream. Now, when these cells become inflamed, the junctions between them start to expand and become bigger, and this allows many of these toxins, microorganisms, undigested food particles, gluten, etc., to leak through the mucosal membrane cells and enter into your bloodstream. Now, when this happens, this triggers an IgG or an IgA immune reaction in your body. B and T cells are released. And again, this can result in food intolerances, systemic inflammation, malabsorption of nutrients, and it can affect your blood-brain barrier. So again, looking at it, we can see that, all these things that Dr. Gallagher previously mentioned, stress, toxins, undigested food particles, medications, prescription drugs, pathogens, breakdown of hormones and things in your body, which is a normal process, can leak through these inflamed mucosal cells and can result in a lot of different problems, from food intolerance to autoimmunity and widespread inflammation inside your body. So today, toxins are everywhere. They're in our food, they're in our water, and we breathe them in the air. It's almost, we can't really avoid them. And a toxin is defined as any substance that's said to accumulate in the body that is considered to be harmful or poisonous to our system.
So what are the major sources of toxins? Plastics, and I want to give a little bit of example. Like, plastics are things that we can heat our food up in the microwave. Those plastics will come out into our food. If we put plastics in our dishwasher, the heat there will allow that to come into our food the next time we eat or store food in those containers. There are lots of plastics in the ocean, so a lot of our seafood is contaminated with plastics. So there's a lot of problems with plastics. Pesticides, I think we all know that most of our farmed food is sprayed with pesticides, except of course organic, but they will sometimes get overspray. I think the big one that most people do not recognize is body products, the toxic beauty, the things that we put on our body that are toxic, that stop our hormones, that cause cancer. It's a pretty amazing thing that here in the United States, the things that we put on our body are not as healthy as the things that we put in our body. Where in Europe, anything we put on our body has to be approved to put inside or eaten. So interesting enough. And heavy metals are in the air, they're in the water, they're also in the food that we eat, they're in immunizations. So a lot of exposure to heavy metals and also in our teeth. All right, if we have metal amalgam fillings or gold fillings, those are also a source of heavy metals, which get leached out into the gut and cause problems there. Molds that we might have been exposed to inside and outside our home. And of course, the prescription and over-the-counter medications like NSAIDs that cause irreparable damage to our digestive systems. There are 6 to 7 million chemical substances known in industry and scientific research, and close to 70 million of them are regularly used in industrial, agricultural, and service sectors. The Environmental Protection Agency also reports that 4.3 billion pounds of toxic substances are legally, and I want to emphasize, legally dumped annually into our nation's environment. And so what you can do, which is a kind of a little bit of a homework assignment, is go to the EPA.gov website, put in your zip code, and you can find out what's legally dumped in your area. Toxicity studies that were done on People, by testing their blood and urine, showed at least 171 industrial chemicals, pesticides, and solvents. They were found in the average person who participated in the study. So that's a lot of chemicals found in blood and urine.
And that comes out to about an average of about 15 pounds of toxins in each person. So that's about the weight of a bowling ball, which is maybe a little heavier than the average human head. That's a lot of toxins.
So obesogens, what is this? Obesogens are chemicals that disrupt the function of hormonal systems in the body, and many researchers believe that they lead to weight gain and in turn numerous diseases that curse the American populace.
So toxins, accumulation of toxins lead to inflammation. Inflammation creates fat cells that are filled with more toxins as the body creates fat cells to wall off these toxins and sort of sequester them from being harmful to the body. This results in an increased amount of body fat, and this is ultimately going to result in weight gain. In most cases, this is right around the midsection where we don't want it to occur. So now a little quiz for you. Guess what the most visible sign of toxicity is in the body? If you are paying attention, you should know the answer to this because we just told you a couple slides ago, and that is fat.
So we have a toxicity questionnaire that helps you to evaluate your exposure to everyday chemicals. This is available in our office, and this is very good because it's enlightening. You get to see some of the things that it might affect as far as your organs, and then some of the things you might have been exposed to and not realize that they could be influencing your body's toxic burden. So we also have an in-office urine test called the Oxy Test, which you might have heard me talk about. This is great because it shows inflammation, which is associated with heart disease, hormone resistant, weight loss resistance, and cancer. And it's a very quick, easy, simple test that we can do in the office. So measuring inflammation in your body via this Oxy test is we put a sample of your urine in with a reagent, and the reagent turns the urine a certain color, and the darker the color, the higher the inflammatory process, which helps us to decide which direction to go in your healing treatment.
So we have to look at how we're going to approach this. What we have to consider, if we can do it, is we have to remove as many of the factors that damage the gut as possible. This would include things like, poor diet, toxins, making sure that there's no digestive dysfunction, and trying to minimize your stress. So it may also have to take the form of some sort of a detoxification or purification program. We want to modify and try to change the diet to eating more healthier foods, and foods that may in fact help to promote gut healing and minimize gastrointestinal inflammation. In a lot of cases, we have to use specific nutrients to not only help create digestive dysfunctions, but also to heal and repair the mucosal membranes lining the gastrointestinal tract. And we also may have to deal with helping to repopulate the gastrointestinal tract with beneficial microorganisms by using prebiotics and probiotics. Now, some of the foods that can be used in the healing process, and some of these would include things like cultured dairy, bone broth, fermented foods, coconut products, sprouted nuts, seeds, fibers, and also practicing intermittent fasting, which has been found to help with gut healing, hormone regulation, and decreasing overall levels of inflammation in your body. So not all of these things are indicated for everybody. This is why you need to consult an experienced, trained professional for guidance to help determine which things are going to work best for you. This is not a one size fits all type of program.
So supplements that purify, heal, repair, and restore. These are the things we want to talk about. This particular slide will be available if you ask at our office. Now, I want to just go through just quickly a little refresher on each one of these. We have digestive enzymes, which are going to help us digest. We have things that are going to heal the tissue of the gut. And we're going to have things that are going to get rid of pathogens that do not belong there. Or we're going to have things that will restore those big gaping leaky gut holes. And then we have things to reculture and get the gut doing better. And we also work with purification and detox programs. So upper digestive support and digestive enzymes. So I always like to say to the patients that come in, I like to cut the digestive system in half, the belly button up and the belly button down. And what we're talking about here is the belly button up. So those of you who do not have a gallbladder or a sluggish gallbladder, you will not be able to remove toxins from your body. It's going to be very difficult. You're going to have a difficult time absorbing nutrients because the bile will change the pH of the gut in order for you to absorb your minerals. So that's a problem. And so we need to support that with some of these specific enzymes. If you have a sluggish gallbladder, sluggish or fatty liver, we need to work on that in order to get the toxins out of your system.
So how do we repair and heal the small and large intestines and correct this condition that we've been talking about known as leaky gut? Well, Dr. Gallagher mentioned a number of products. We'll reiterate some of those here. Spanish black radish is very good for detoxifying the bowel. Lactic acid, yeast, lactans, and Zymex wafers help to, reestablish the normal pH level so that the good microbes can thrive and the bad ones can not so much. So that helps restore that balance. We have the other products here, L-Gut Vista 1 Liquid, Intestinal Restore, and Intestinal Stability are those products that help heal the mucosal tissue and repair those leaky junctions between the mucosal cell membranes. And we also like to refer to it as weeding, feeding, and reseeding. So basically, again, we're using products like Gut Flora, berberine, the Pathogenic Purge, Bactrex, Fundiex, VRM 1 through 4 for parasites to kill off the things that are undesirable, reduce their numbers. That's part of this GI wellness package. We use Bind to bind up all the toxins and bind them up so that they can be eliminated from the body. And then we have these other products, FBR, Gastrofiber, ABC, MBC probiotics, prebiotics to help restore the normal microbiome.
So I think it's important to know that if we're going to do some purification and detox a planned program in that area, that we're really trying to take somebody from having some bad habits and resetting the habits and get them re-engaged in a healthy lifestyle, which could mean, making sure that they eat good food, that they're hydrated, that they exercise. If they're smoking, they're not smoking. We may even talk about good body products or beauty care, and all the things that could be the chemical toxins that are disrupting their body. We also want to support the body's natural detoxification process to get because we are constantly being bombarded with these volatile chemicals and BPAs and things in our environment that will cause us to put on the weight because we're holding in the toxins if we're not able to have a smooth detox process. And I can tell you in my own story that I just did a recent genetic test that showed that I was missing some enzymes for detoxification. So that really was enlightening to me. And I wasn't able to get rid of some of the things through my liver's detox process. And so now I can.
And so we also talked about purification, and this 21-day program has been very successful for many of our patients. It helps to support the body's natural detox pathways. It can be a good starter for people that want to lose some weight, improve their energy, improve their digestion, and sort of get them on the road to having a little better diet and a healthier lifestyle overall. So, this works very well. And, this might be something that would be indicated for you. And if you have questions about that, you can always bring it up to us when you're in the office.
So we want to thank you for attending. We hope that some of the things we spoke about this evening will give you inspiration to do some changing in your diet and possibly to consult with us about your digestive issues and maybe doing some detoxification or at least filling out a toxicity questionnaire. We have some specials here tonight to thank you for attending. And the webinar specials are 10% off all gut health supplements. I have the list if you would like it at the office, and we have it at our front desk if you call in. Our code, you have to give the code, is Gutbusters. Thank you very much for attending. We really appreciate you. Have a great evening.